I've rewritten this story many times over the years. First in my head, then in my journals. This version is real, raw, and has been a decade in the making. It's the story of how I was thrown away like garbage for doing the right thing, and how I used that betrayal as fuel to come back and take everything. So yeah, buckle up. It's long, but I promise it's worth it. Back in 2016, I was 25 years old, working for a mid-sized tech company I'll call Dynatech Solutions. I started there right out of college and quickly moved up the ladder. I was a software engineer, one of the lead back-end developers, and my specialty was rescuing failing code bases that others had given up on. Most people avoided legacy systems like the plague. I lived in them. My direct boss, Ron, was a textbook corporate sycophant. Think buzzwords, bootlicking, a complete lack of technical skill, and a god complex fueled by middle management power. He wasn't evil in the classic sense. He was worse, petty, passive-aggressive, narcissistic. He didn't care about people. Only optics, power, and his rising star reputation in the company. Then the call came. Martin twice. My younger sister Emily had been feeling sick for months. After a barrage of tests, she was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney disease. Her kidneys were shutting down fast. She was 22 and in college. Brilliant, kind, the best human being I know, and the news hit like a freight train. She needed a transplant, desperately. I got tested immediately. Miraculously, I was a perfect match. The doctor told us that if we waited too long, her odds would plummet. She'd already started dialysis, but it was killing her slowly. I didn't hesitate. I decided to donate. It wasn't a choice. It was the only option. I prepared all the paperwork, talked to HR, got the medical leave forms filled out, and set the surgery date for 3 weeks later. I had over 30 PTO days banked. I even offered to work remotely during recovery once I was stable. HR was hesitant, but generally supportive. We'll approve this, they said, as long as management is informed. Well, enter Ron. I set a meeting with him the next morning, walked in with a folder of documentation, and explained the situation. He sat there in silence for a full minute, then he said, "Ron, you realize this is Q3, right? The most important quarter for client deliverables?" May, "Yes, I'm prepping the team before I go." Ron, "And you're planning to just disappear in the middle of a key sprint to play hero?" Me, "To save my sister's life, yes." Ron, "You need to think about your priorities." That line stuck with me. He was serious. He tried to guilt me into not going through with the donation because of a product demo. The next day, I got called into HR. Ron had concerns about my long-term availability and team cohesion. They handed me a termination letter, no severance. Position eliminated. I couldn't believe it. I appealed. I sent HR everything. Surgery dates, my leave request, even hospital letters. They ghosted me. Ron had buried me with one memo. Was humiliated, heartbroken, and scared. I had rent, bills, no backup savings. But I still went ahead with the surgery because my sister mattered more. She cried when I told her I'd been fired. I told her it was okay, and I meant it. I'd lose 1,000 jobs to keep her alive. The transplant went well. We both survived. The doctor called it textbook. But while recovering, I spiraled. Anger, depression, self-doubt. That job had been my identity. But something else started growing inside me too. Resolve. After recovery, I started taking on freelance gigs. From Upwork, Reddit forums, and referrals. Maintenance work, debugging, app optimization, stuff no one else wanted to touch. Within 6 months, I had a full calendar. I hired a friend from college to help with the overflow, then another, then a project manager. By the end of year 2, I had 8 contractors, and we were officially a company, Ardent Core. We weren't flashy. We didn't have a Silicon Valley address, but we did good work. High quality, low ego, high integrity. And we grew. I created the kind of company I wish Dynatech had been. No corporate theater, no cult of ego, just results and respect. By year 4, we had a steady stream of clients ranging from lean startups to Fortune 500s. I hired full-time devs, built internal tools, started developing our own SaaS products. That's when I heard the best sentence of my life. "Hey, did you hear? Dynatech's in trouble?" An old coworker texted me out of the blue. Apparently, Dynatech had a huge product launch go sideways. Servers crashed, client data was corrupted, and their PR team flubbed the response. I started digging. Turns out, after I left, the backend team collapsed. Ron promoted one of his drinking buddies, no coding experience, and morale plummeted. The new guy rewrote a working framework from scratch, and it was a disaster. Clients left, reviews tanked, investors pulled back. The board panicked, and Ron, he blamed the engineers again, but this time no one bought it. Their top engineers bailed. 3 of them joined me at Ardent Core by year 5. Then came the cherry on top. Dynatech was looking for buyers. One of their board members, who didn't know me, sent an email to our general contact inbox. Would Ardent Core be open to a strategic acquisition of assets related to Dynatech's legacy IP and cloud products? My jaw hit the floor. They were practically begging us to buy them. My CEO, Jenny, who I'd hired after she left Dynatech herself, met with them first. She posed as the potential lead negotiator and brought back gold. Dynatech's valuation had dropped by 70%. The board had sidelined Ron to a non-executive consultant role. They were hemorrhaging money and needed a lifeline. We set up a follow-up meeting. I walked into the boardroom in a tailored suit. Ron was sitting there, eyes wide. Ron, you? Me? Hi, Ron. Good to see you again. The board stared in silence. I introduced myself as the founder and CEO of Ardent Core. They offered me the company. I countered 100% ownership, full executive control, Ron out completely, and authority to restructure everything. They agreed. The next day, I called Ron into the same office he'd fired me from years earlier. He looked pale, sweating, stammering. Ron, look, I know we had our differences, but me? You fired me for saving my sister's life. Ron, it wasn't personal. Me? Exactly. It was business. So now it's just business. Ron, please don't do this. Me? You're fired, Ron. Effective immediately. Don't come back. He begged, pleaded. I handed him a box and watched him walk out. No security, no board backup. Just karma. Wait. We rebranded Dynatech as Ardent Labs, a new R&D division for internal tools and experimental products. I rehired some of the engineers who'd been laid off unfairly, gave them raises, equity, apologies. We rewrote the garbage code. That caused the disaster. We reached out to old clients and slowly rebuilt their trust. Our revenue doubled in 18 months, and best of all, my sister, she's healthy. She graduated with honors, got her master's in nonprofit management. Now she runs a foundation to help kidney transplant patients navigate the financial nightmare we faced. She still tears up every time she hears about how it all turned out. So do I. I once thought losing that job was the worst thing that had ever happened to me. Now, I see it as the best. Ron taught me everything not to be. He was the fuel that lit my fire, and when the flames were done burning through me, I was steel. So if you're reading this and someone like Ron is ruining your life, remember, their power is temporary, but your potential, that's permanent.